Welcome to Computopedia, the channel where we learn about computer science. In this video, we're going to talk about procedures, which is procedure with variables, parameters, and if and case. This is a video part of a series of databases laboratory activity, and this is the 8th video. Now, without further ado, let's learn about procedures. So what is the definition of a stored procedures? A procedures or a stored procedures in databases is a segment of declarative SQL statement stored inside the database catalog. So we can see here that if we create a procedures called getAllProducts with a statement of begin select star from products and end, then for every app that connected to this database, they can just do this statement using or calling the procedure name only. So just get all products, and then the begin select and just like this one will be run, and it can be used across multiple application that has the same access to this database server. And that is the definition of a stored procedure. There are lots of advantages, as we can see over here. The first one is to help increase the performance of the application. Increasing the performance of the application. The reason is that after we compile the stored procedures, MySQL puts it into a cache and maintains its own stored procedure cache for every single connection, so it's faster. Second, it helps reduce the traffic between application and database server, because the traffic itself, the call that was given by the application are just the name, so without the full statement. So if the statements are very long, the information that was sent from the application to the database server are just only the procedure name. So it reduced traffic. The third advantage are reusable and transparent to any application. Stored procedures expose the database interface to all applications so that developers do not have to develop functions that are already supported in stored procedures. So it's really reusable. Finally, it's secure. The database administrator can grant appropriate permission to applications that access stored procedure in the database without giving any permission on the underlying database table. So it's more secure. However, there are still some disadvantages to use the stored procedure. The first is that if you use too many stored procedure, the memory usage will be increasing substantially. So please be prepared. Second one is for the stored procedures. Stored procedures contracts are not designed for developing complex and flexible business logic. So this is not a complex programming. So once again, please be careful while using stored procedure. And the third one is that it is difficult to debug stored procedure. Once again, this is not a programming language, a proper programming language. So if you want to debug a stored procedure, then there will be some difficulties. We don't know which line are the one that causing the error, and it's just like all of the procedures are having error. Finally, it is not easy to develop, and even it's not easy to maintain stored procedure. Developing and maintaining stored procedures are often required a specialized skill set that not all application developers possess. So if you are a data engineer, I think that's totally fine. You need to have this skill, but if you're just learning databases to do some storage, and then maybe you can just skip this part. This may lead to problems in both application development and maintenance success. Maintenance phases is like here. Okay. Once again, please be prepared. So for the examples, this is my first MySQL stored procedure. Stored procedures do like this. So the first command delimiter, so this is the syntax over here. The first command delimiter and then //, which is not related to the stored procedures syntax. So the delimiter and the delimiter at the end of here are not related. The delimiter statement changes the standard delimiter, which is semicolon to another. So here we are changing the n delimiter, this one to be this one, and then we change the delimiter back to the semicolon. Why do we need to change the delimiter? Because we want to pass the stored procedures to the server as a whole, rather than letting MySQL tool interpret each statement at a time. Because sometimes we need a semicolon in the procedure, and then we need to change the delimiter of the semicolon to another first, so that the semicolon are being sent as a stored procedure, not as a delimiter. So that are the reason why we need to change the delimiter. Following the end keyword, we use the delimiter / to indicate that this is the end of the stored procedure. After that, so that's the delimiter problems. Next, we are going to create procedure statement to create a new stored procedure. So we have here create procedure, and then we specify the name of the stored procedure after the create procedure statement. We see here we get all products. So these are the name of this procedure. In that case, as you can see here, the name of the stored procedure are get all products. We put the parenthesis after the name of the stored procedures. I think this query is quite common in the programming world. The section between begin and end is called the body of the stored procedure. So inside the begin and end, this one is the body of the stored procedure. You put the declarative SQL statement in the body to handle business logic. So anything you want. In this stored procedure, we use a simple statement to query data from the table. So you can write anything you want as long as you want in this begin and set. So that are the first stored procedure. Now we're going to talk about the stored procedure variables. What is that? A variable is a named data object whose value can change during the stored procedure execution. We typically use the variable in stored procedure to hold the immediate result. So, well, just like a regular procedure, a regular variable for programming. And then these variables are local to the stored procedure. You must declare a variable before using it. Let's see the example. So to declare the variable inside a storage, you use this declare statement and followed by, so we see here just like this one, declare variable name, data types, size, default value, and then semicolon. So let's examine this statement above. First, you need to specify the variable name after the declare keyword. So this variable name also follows the naming rules of MySQL table column names. All of the rules of the naming and the MySQL, we must follow that. Secondly, you specify the data type of the variable and its size. So this variable can have data types such as int, varchar, and datetime. Third, when you declare a variable, its initial value is null, but you can assign the variable a default value using the default keyword. So on the default here, this is optional. You can just leave it out, and then the initial value will be null. Here are the example. We declare a total sale with the data type of integer or int with the default value of 0. And we can even declare more than just one variables. Because we can see here, we can declare x and y with a comma between them with the same data type. So even though there are more variables, it can just be in one data type. So if we want to use more variables with more data types, you need to declare not just in one line and the default 0. In this example, we declare the two integer variables x and y and set their default values to 0. Now once we declare, we want to use it, we want to assign a variable to another value, you can use the stat statement just like this below. So after we declare over here, we can set a variable with another value. So we set total count equals to 10. The value of total count variable is 10 after this assignment. Beside the set statement, you can use the select into statement to assign the result of a query, which result a scalar value to a variable. Let's see the example here. We want to declare total products. So here are the variable declaration, and then we select the count star. So we count the row of this table into the total products. So here is some mistake syntax. So there should be some space over here from products. So we input the count star to the total products. Now let's talk about variable scope. A variable has its own scope that defines its lifetime. If you declare a variable inside a stored procedure, it will be out of scope when the end statement of the stored procedure reach. So a variable, this is a local variable, its lifetime is only inside of the stored procedure. After the stored procedure is ended, and that's it. That variables cannot go out. However, if yes, this is the same. You can declare two or more variables with the same name in different scope, because a variable is only effective in its own scope. So for example, if you have multiple stored procedure, you can use the same name variables between these two stored procedures because they are separated. They are not connected in any way. That's totally fine. However, declaring variables with the same name in different scopes is not a good programming practice. There may be a little bit confusion if you use it that way. A variable whose name begins with the @ sign is a session variable. It is available and accessible until the session ends. So if you want to use that variable to multiple stored procedures, for example, but it still have the limitation in that session, then you can use the @ sign. Next, we're going to talk about the procedures parameter. Almost every stored procedures that we will develop requires parameters. The parameters make the stored procedures more flexible and useful. So what is a parameter? We'll see the example after this, but parameters has one of these three modes, and we're going to talk about this as well. The parameters in, this is the default mode. So when you define an in parameter in a stored procedure, the calling program has to pass an argument to the stored procedure. In addition, the value of an in parameter is protected. It means that even the value of the in parameter is changed inside the stored procedure, its original value is retained after the stored procedure's end. In other words, the stored procedure only works on the copy of the in parameters. So that is the in parameters. We should see the example over here. So the parameters are over here. Let's talk about the out first. So that's the in. You want to create inside a value to the stored procedure. The out parameters, the value of an out parameter can be changed inside the stored procedure, and its new value is passed back to the calling program. So it's like a return if you are using Python or any other programs. Notice that the stored procedure cannot access the initial value of the out parameter when it starts. So the out value are at the end. An in-out parameter is a combination of in and out parameters. Well, of course. It means that the calling program may pass an argument and then the stored procedure can modify it. In-out parameters and the in-out it should be continuous. Can modify the in-out parameters and pass the new value back to the calling program. So these are the explanation of in-out and in-out. So this is a stored procedure. If you want to add a value to that procedure, that's going to be in. If you are going to use the value after this procedure, that's calling out. And if you use both in and out, you use the in and out parameters. How to do this is that the mode, just like here, mode, parameter name, parameter type, and then parameter size. The mode could be in, out, or in, out. So the default is in, depending on the purpose of the parameter in the stored procedure. The param name is the name of the parameter. The name of the parameter must follow the naming rules also of the column name in MySQL. Follow the parameter name is its data type and size like a variable. The data type of the parameters can be any valid MySQL data type. Each parameter is separated by a comma if the stored procedure has more than one parameter. So this parameter, like in or out or in out, where in is the default, this one will comes inside of the this parenthesis on the procedure. So they will be inside of this parenthesis procedure, just like parameters for any programming. So that are the parameters. If you want to explore more about parameters in stored procedures, and maybe I am wrong, please do Google yourself, and if you have any comments, please do comments in this video and I will make a revision after that. Next, lastly, we're going to learn about control statement. So we have if-else, if-else, and then lastly case. I'm just going to give you a brief explanation about this. So in the if statement, you can use like this if statement on the stored procedures or anywhere else. This is just like a simple if then else, if then, if an expression then statement. For example, if the parameters are bigger than 10 and then do something, and then the end if over here. This is the if statement. the if then else statement, or if else, if expression then something some statement, and then the else statement is over here. So at the end of the if, we should have the and if just right here. The if-else-if-else statement, so if we have multiple expression, we can use it like this. So if else, if expression then statement, else if, and then the else if expression, and then the else if statement. We can add more else if, and then expression, and then statement, and finally we must have the else statement, else statement as the default value, default statement, and then we have an if right here. Lastly, beside the if statement, MySQL also provide the case statement. I think in some of the programming language also have this kind of statement. We have case and then case expression when expression are equal to when the case expression are equal to this, and then this command will run, and so on. We must have the else command over here, so that this will be the default when all of the when expression are not run, and then the else here will be run, and the end case. So we must have the end case as well. Okay, I think that's what we're going to talk about the stored procedure. These topics are quite hard rather than from the previous video. So if you have any question, do please comment. If you need more explanation on certain thing, please comment. I'll make video about that after maybe all of this databases series. So please do subscribe and like for this kind of videos that I will be making in the next few months, year, I think. Yeah. So I think that's that. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video. Bye.